Let me turn to healthcare for a few minutes here and apply disruptive innovation to healthcare. Clay, Washington has its formula for healthcare reform. I'm curious if you'd share with us what yours is.
Well, there's a technique that we teach in our course called discovery-driven planning, which is don't argue about what you want to have happen. Everybody wants higher quality and lower cost healthcare. But what are the assumptions that have to prove true in order for this outcome to materialize? And are these assumptions plausible? And it just is quite scary to me that, in essence, we're assuming that a miracle is going to happen. That the way organizations work inside of themselves, it simply can't happen the way it's framed. And in markets where there have only been what I call sustaining innovations at work, that is, all innovations make good products better that you could sell for higher profits to your best customers. Those are expensive. What brings affordability is disruption. You've got these two at work, and the sum of more and more costly sustaining innovation gets weighted out with disruption. And so in most industries, prices are stable or declining a little bit. But when there hasn't been disruption, which is higher education and healthcare, all of the innovations have been sustaining. We have prices increasing at 10 to 12% a year because there has been no disruption. And rather than just hoping that our hospitals will become cheap or that physicians will take pay cuts, and we need to really disrupt them. That is, we need to bring technology that enables lower cost venues of care and lower cost caregivers to do more sophisticated care. That's the way that way it works. And if you just stay in the regime where we are, there's a trade-off. If you want higher quality, you have to accept higher costs. But when disruption occurs, because it enables people who are just plain old ordinary people to do more remarkable things, the trade-off breaks. And you can actually have higher quality in healthcare and lower cost. Just as he's showing here, that you can break the trade-off with disruption, have better quality at lower cost.
Scott, how have the theories of disruptive innovation played a role in Intuit's strategy to engage in the healthcare sector?
I think there's a fundamental truth in the discovery-based learning approach that Clay talks about that we try to apply in experimentation within the company. And I think government policy is actually an example of this. So people can ask the question, so I'll stay on the government level since that's where your question started in this series. So people can ask the question, can you actually set government policy through a discovery-based or experimentation approach? And one country has, and that country is China. So when Deng Xiaoping took over the country in 1980, the economy was a wreck. People starving in the streets. They could not generate the work, the jobs, to even feed their people. Deng Xiaoping did many things, but one thing he did was run an experiment. They had a set of assumptions about a better way, but instead of legislating them, they tested them. They took Shenzhen, for example, a coastal city, and put a fence around it, and then ran Shenzhen with different economic rules. While the rest of the country was run under communist economic rules, Shenzhen was run under more free market rules with foreign investment allowed. And you know what happened. The Chinese economic miracle started there. Jobs were created, companies, investment. People from the rest of China started crawling the fences to get in to Shenzhen. Then that success formula, once proven, was then expanded to the rest of China. Today, in air pollution control, something that China desperately needs, they're not just legislating. Instead, they're running 7 separate parallel experiments in different provinces of different control regimes to be able to measure what actually happens and discover which assumptions on behaviors and on unintended consequences are true and which is best policy. I think the idea of enacting government policy that you've actually tested and know the consequences of would be a revolutionary thought.